tons of countries turned communist. What happened to them? They all imploded. Why? Because communism is based on idealism. Here's what it is. Communism says the bourgeoisie is taking advantage of you. All you have to do is do your labor, and instead of having somebody take your labor from you, you can keep it. What does your employer do with the other 50 units of labor? Buys equipment, pays the bills, buys the hard stuff that you're turning into widgets or whatever you're making, and after everything is done, he takes $20, because $30 of that went to the overhead, and he takes 20 and he puts it in his pocket, and he gets profit. Why does he get profit and you don't? He's getting paid for giving the access to the end buyer, the money, and his money's at risk. What happens if the business goes under? What do? You just move on. But he is also the one taking the risk, and with the gamble goes the benefits. So that's how capitalism works. So he says all you have to do is, if you're a plumber, you just plumb. And when the baker comes by, he bakes. And if you're a plumber, you need food, you go over to the baker and you say, I need a loaf of bread. And he says, here you go. And if he needs something plumbed, he calls you up and he says, hey, I need something plumbed. And you go, I'll be right there. And you plumb it. And then your car breaks down, you take it over to the mechanic. And the mechanic says, great, thanks. And by the way, can you drop off a loaf of bread? Sure. And you just live like that, and then you never have to worry about transferring money that anybody making any profit on anybody. Right? Beautiful idea. What gets in the way of that? Laziness and greed are the two things human nature can't get rid of. And unless there's some urgency, haven't you ever noticed that when you have a job, you get up in the morning, and when there's no job to go to, all of a sudden, for some reason, the bed sucks you in and you stay there? Communism said, if you can take people and you force them and you oppress them hard enough and long enough that it will inbreed inside them, and you breed out of them laziness and greed through force, and eventually the next 2 or 3 generations will be born without laziness and greed, and then they can hold hands and skip into the future, singing Kumbaya. Utopia is that point where you oppress them, you take away their rights, and you put all the federal powers, and you impose all of this on them so hard and so long that eventually you can take it all away. The beautiful irony of communism, when you read Das Kapital, the goal is to eliminate government altogether. What do you end up with on this side when you go extreme, extreme, extreme? What do you get up over here? Anarchy, anarcho-capitalism. Anarchy is not a state of chaos. It is not people running around. It's not rape and pillage and murder. You know why? Because of this. Have there been anarchist countries out there? Yes. There are some right now, by the way. There is no centralized federal government in Somalia. Afghanistan is the other one. Anarchy is not a system of no rules and chaos. It's a system where there is no centralized. This is gone, and this is all you have. What is interesting about this is they both end up in the same place, which is a situation where both of them, their goal is no centralized government. You get to communism, and the goal of communism is to oppress people so much for so long that you take government away. And the extreme on this one, if you let it go to its full extreme, is no centralized government. And so where does Hitler fall? You know, somewhere here, somewhere here. It's all this. Every dictator runs it that way. So that's why when people say, well, the right, you have Hitler on the right, and you have Mussolini on the right, says who? Based on what?